former president of Nigeria, that's Olusegun Obasanjo, says it's important for the incoming administration to explore all avenues at ending ethnic division that originated from the 2023 general election. Addressing a conference themed From Elections to Governance and Performance, organized by Next Year SPD and Ibadan School of Governance and Public Policy in Abuja on Thursday, Obasanjo noted that with challenges facing the country, he is now too old to keep quiet, adding that he would continue to voice concerns for the benefit of the nation. Arise analyst Mr. Dayo Sobowale is here with us to address the intrinsic points raised by the former president, as well as measures needed to foster national unity. Good afternoon, Mr. Sobowale. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you, as always. He listed some suggestions, in that, in the excerpt that I saw, and I'm just wondering if you think that they add up, first of all, and how important it would be to, first of all, for this administration to acknowledge the gravity of what we witnessed in the election before we can actually make steps or take steps towards, these measures.
Obasanjo is a well-tested Nigerian leader. He has been both civilian and military ruler. So when he talks, we listen. Yeah. But he put in a rider there that he's too old not to talk. Mm-hmm. But he speaks a lot of sense. But for him to be talking of reconciliation when the legal process is still on, it's as if we are at each other's throat. We are not. Yeah. We are not. We are at peace. The election has come and gone. And he has been a participant, observer of our political journey and trajectory. And one way or the other, he has contributed his own, for good or bad, to the situation we are in now. But my immediate answer to him is not exactly from him, but it's from the incumbent president, who is happy that our democracy has been deepened by this election. That 10 governors, that is, cannot be business as usual, that the political landscape has changed forever. And you will agree with him. Looking at the emergence of Obi alone has shown that the political landscape has changed. But what he said that delighted me is that 10 governors, sitting governors, are not able to get to the Senate. Which means at the end of the day, this outgoing government knew what it was doing. It's business as usual for governors after 2 terms to go to Senate so that they escape prosecution by the EFCC and all that. Most senators have cases with EFCC. But this man has shown that it is his plan to make sure that that sort of corruption does not continue. So, in effect, our democracy is getting strengthened by far more than under Obasanjo in his first coming. He conducted the election that brought in Shehu Shagari against Obafemi Awolowo. And even at the eve of the election, he said the best person may not win. And Shagari came in and the tenure was truncated by the military, led by the president incumbent, dead. You get me? So we have come a long way, and we are learning from our own mistakes. Nigeria is a multi-ethnic society. And what has happened now is a beautiful situation. And I will add something to it. Even though I was against this introduction of new currency on the eve of the election, which I thought was a diabolical plan by the incumbent not to make his own party man succeeding. But that happened. But now you must admit that the unintended consequence of that is that we are all now more frugal. You learn to keep your money in your pocket.
By force.
Yes. That's an unintended consequence of that. So it's not as if our leaders are folding their hands and are not doing anything. So when they do well, you must commend them. But you cannot allow old leaders who are participant observers, who contributed immensely to the mess we are in, to come and be stoking the fear into our political life. That must stop.
Okay.
Let's look at the positive side of our existence. Yes.
All right, let's look at, let's highlight some of those things, those recommendations that he made, specifically national moral rearmament, national reconciliation, and I'd like to focus on this third one, which is national value orientation to create national belonging. Now, I want to take the focus away from the leadership and from those who govern us and just focus on the people, because there was a huge sentiment towards, as we ended last year specifically, Japa was the term of the day, as many people, I can't say majority, that's not fair, several people felt that they needed to go outside, to look outside, to further their prospects. Just to buttress that, once the election came and went, with the way things were conducted, another group of people felt they're done, they're signing out, they're looking for other places to go. And this is evidenced by the bill that is now in second passing from the House of Representatives, made public yesterday, that there's now, they're trying to pass the bill that says that doctors and nurses doctors and dental practitioners need to work for 5 years in Nigeria before they can get their license to travel abroad. So obviously, it's clear people are leaving. There's a brain drain. People are running away. Obasanjo is charging the incoming government to say, what will you do? Something needs to be done to create national value orientation and create national belonging. What are your thoughts of that? Because I know you're optimistic on the other issues, but what about this?
Yes. You see, we have a National Orientation Agency, which was formed to address this issue. But then, you see, the global economy is not waiting for Nigeria. It is dynamic. Our currency has fallen seriously. So people, you see, imagine, most Nigerians now who live overseas, if they come here to do parties, $1,000, they can buy everybody. Look at the politicians, the governors, some of them, they came overseas, from overseas, because our economy is where it is. Not through our own fault, but through borrowing from IMF and all that, and depreciation of the Naira. But then, our system is still there. People will be ambitious to go overseas. But don't let us be deceived. If they go to, say, the US, they go to EU nations or Britain out of Brexit, what are their values there? We talk of moral rearmament or reevaluation. What are their values there? Gay culture? In America right now...
I want to focus on the element of national belonging. Is the fact that people feel that they do not fit in and belong where they are, so they're uprooting.
I am Nigerian. I feel I belong. I'm proud. My children are proud. But it's natural for people to seek greener pastures where they are not satisfied. There's mass unemployment in Nigeria, I know that. But then, look at Nigerian youth in entertainment, in acting and all that. They are making headways. They are making headways. You have to consider in the arts, literature, and all that. So, if people want to go overseas, let them go. I mean, these doctors who have spoken about, some have gone and they have run into a brick wall there, and they are trying to find their way back because the economy yonder too is under stress. It's under stress, and they have sectors where they want people to come in. Not in all sectors. They need doctors for their NHS in England. That's why people are going there. But look at the US, for example. They have a cultural war. The Biden administration is trying to introduce critical race theory, which tries to undo the evils of slavery. And people, if you talk against anything pertaining to racial discrimination, you are gone. Their motto is diversity, inclusion, and just bringing people together, redressing the past. Can anybody redress the past? Can we here redress our colonial past?
You know, I think
those are values.
Of course, when you speak, it's obvious that you're patriotic and you believe in Nigeria, and everything comes down to perspective. Thank you for sharing yours. You know, but one of the observations that was made by the by the international observers was still this ethnic, bigotry. Some of what we saw in some cases, whether it was in Lagos State or whatnot. And the recommendation was that the president or those that are going to occupy leadership positions distance themselves from individuals who subscribed to such language. I'm wondering if you think that is a recommendation that will be adhered to, whether on the federal level or on the gubernatorial level, for instance, in Lagos.
The motto of Nigeria is peace, unity, and progress. Unity, faith, peace, and progress. Get me? This last election, we had a Muslim ticket that was unthinkable, but it won. But it threw up a different political equation with regard to the Labour Party's emergence. So, as far as I'm concerned, we have always known our problems, our ethnic problems. Nigeria is made up of over 250 ethnic groups. So it's an amalgamation of diverse, disparate groups since 1940.
If I may specify, Mr. Sobowale, I'm talking about like what we saw in Lagos. Some individuals who basically sidelined or tried to intimidate.
Who are those individuals?
I don't think I want to drop names today. I'm sure you are fully aware of what we saw on Twitter.
Look, we are talking of those claiming Lagos is no man's land, and those claiming that Lagos is somebody's land. But you don't want to be specific? You want me to go into that?
I'm just asking you if you think that they had, for instance, on the gubernatorial level, that they would, the governor-elect will heed to that call to distance himself from individuals who subscribe to that kind of divisive language.
Again. I'm a Lagos boy. I grew up with Igbos. We went to school together. There are some who speak better Yoruba even than I. It's only when you hear their surname we have coexisted. It is when elections come that politicians, okay, let me give you an example, since you brought it up. The IPOB, census is coming May 3rd to 5th. Census, that's more polemical than election. Census is coming May 3rd, and the IPOB, an illegal entity, is asking Igbos to go back to the east and vote, so that they will know that there are many in their own state and not in a stranger's land. That is the strength of our democracy. Do you get my point now? That is the strength of our democracy, that an outlawed body can still influence people. But the people in the East are not resting on their hours. The governments there are not succumbing to IPOB. They are claiming to be Nigerians, and they are Nigerians. So ethnicity has always been our problem. The beauty of our existence is that somehow, in spite of our differences, we have coexisted. We have not grown up each other yet. Unlike the United States, where they are culturally divided, and people are talking of the United States of America. Nigeria's motto is what I've just told you: faith, unity, faith, peace, and progress. And awkwardly, waywardly, we are there. We just conducted an election, and the rule of law is prevailing, even though some of you think heaven must fall. Heaven will not fall. People have gone to court. And when the court decide, heaven will not fall, regardless of the decision. So, I'm optimistic.
Right. And we certainly need a dose of optimism, yes, don't we? Now, let's shift the conversation slightly to economic matters. Now, in this same statement, former President Obasanjo criticized the current government as, and to use his words, he said they are spending like a drunken sailor, his words. So, do you think that the outgoing government could have been more innovative in the ways they chose to finance the fiscus? Because we saw borrowing, debt. Of course, we know about the global economic crisis. But in preparation for a new government that we hope will look for creative and innovative ways to finance the fiscus that will not put any more burden on Nigeria's debt profile, do you think things could have been done more innovatively?
Well, it's a pity this is the end of this regime. So we can only pick up from where they are handling. Now, the issue of subsidy has crept up again. Restructuring has crept up again. You see, subsidy is the cornerstone of our economic crisis. if we can revive our refineries, if we can put our house in order, then we will not be spending money to import refined petroleum. Okay, right now, on the ground, on the eve of the departure of the government, is $80 billion elevation loan from World Bank.
Okay, 800 billion,
800
yes.
From the world. Yes, if you borrow money, if you use it for economically viable projects, there's nothing wrong with that. You pay over time, provided that money is not turned into private hands or diverted into unproductive projects and white elephants. So we are on the right track. I keep on saying this. If you have not managed our economy well, we will not be able to sit here and be talking the way we are talking. You see, in any economy, there are disparities. There are disparities. Those who are down there are down there. But if you run a competitive economy, yes, there are those who prosper and there are those who just...
Well,
but the aim of government is to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor.